a trio of Dragon Ball What Ifs requested by viewers. Request your own in the comments later, and be sure to subscribe so you know when it or other ones come out. The first is from Chaos Cateriano 7 on what if Chichi became champion. The most logical point for this to occur would be the 24th Tenkaichi Budokai, with her reading a newspaper about its revival, and having just enough attention to see the sentence on the prize money, choosing to participate for it, while Goku, Piccolo and Gohan are happy preparing for the more important battle a few days after it. She sweeps through the competition that not only convinces Mr. Satan to stick to wrestling titles, but inspires Videl to be as strong a woman as her. When Cell announces the Cell game, Chichi is interviewed on the matter due to both her title and people becoming aware of her and Goku being a champion power couple, with her using it as an opportunity to hype up Goku as someone who abstained from the Budokai to prepare for a threat just like this, and that he's the one worth betting on, to the point she'll only be there for morale. Goku throws Chichi away from the group when the Cell Juniors attack, with her landing gracefully near 16's head, bringing him near Gohan and helping him become a Super Saiyan 2. A major change comes after Gohan is injured, as Chichi gets in front of Cell and shouts of not just protecting her son at all costs, but Cell being a disgrace in going so far after Goku gave him a fair fight that a Budokai deserves. Cell is annoyed enough to shoot a death beam through her heart and incite Gohan's rage enough that his injury doesn't matter, his power outclassing Cell, who resorts to a Genki Dama, drawing on the sun's Genki with his Kamehameha on top of it. This is enough to pressure Gohan until Vegeta's distraction, with events then going the same for the Cell arc's end. Things change in the time following it, through the world becoming very aware Gohan defeated Cell. Gohan getting enough popularity, he writes the book Groundbreaking Science before the Buu arc, and causes Krillin and Tenshinhan to establish the Shin Kame-sen Ryu and Shin Surusen Ryu respectively, and Videl in particular, demanding her father let her meet Gohan. Chichi sees the ambition of her young self in Videl, and agrees to teach her the basics of Kame-sen Ryu before Gohan teaches her the basics of Ki, when not busy with his studies. Things going down a similar route to what if I've already done. The only major changes are that Chichi makes the executive decision as reigning champion to postpone the Budokai rather than eliminate everyone, with it being postponed to a week after the events with Buu. Gohan ends up as the champion of the Budokai, and is encouraged by his family to keep that title up, as Videl continues pushing him to become stronger. The next one is from Paper Prince 2, on what if Vegeta became immortal, the Saichoro lasting just long enough for Dende to make this wish. Vegeta faces Frieza confidently, but is just as underprepared for his second form's power. Not able to use the Saiyan power trait, when not one who can rarely be brought to near death. Vegeta doesn't improve enough to save Gohan, and Goku's rage at losing his son has him transform into a Super Saiyan. Vegeta uses himself as a shield when Frieza attempts to destroy Namek, and the battle lasts about 2 minutes without Goku having to stall. Gohan is then brought back with Frieza's other victims by Popo, and Vegeta's frustrations have him instead focus on conquering Frieza's territory, as immortality gives him no rush to catch up. This causes him to be found by Cold though, who uses his overwhelming power to imprison and interrogate Vegeta before taking him to Earth and being defeated by Goku. Further humiliated by this, Vegeta goes back to what he was doing and eventually finds the Room of Spirit and Time Frieza would, spending 10 years worth of time inside before being sure of his chances at a rematch. Though unable to improve his body physically, his awareness of this has him focus purely on spiritual cultivation through meditation, and is enough for him to succeed in taking Goku's life, and Super Saiyan Gohan attacking him to no avail, but expositing how he became so strong gives Piccolo the idea of of using the room with Gohan. When Vegeta is arrogant enough to let them go when any resistance is futile, both manage to surpass Vegeta by sparring together while he conquers Earth, Piccolo confronting him at King Castle and successfully sealing him with the Mafuba. A trip to Namek is then taken, with Goku and the rest of Vegeta's victims being revived, only for Goku to be taken by the heart virus 2 years later. When 17 and 18 show up, Piccolo has become strong enough to deal with both on his own, and fuses with Kami soon after, when concerned about any more unexpected threats. Dende then being brought from Namek. Yamcha and Bulma also eventually get back together and settle down to have a family. 7 years later, Dabra proves far beyond everyone's expectation. Goku goes in the Room of Spirit and Time with Gohan, as both quickly master Super Saiyan and achieve Super Saiyan 2, defeating Dabra and stopping Babidi. For Super, Beerus doesn't stay awake long without the Super Saiyan God being possible. Sorbet tries invading Namek, but a few Namekians fuse to easily wipe out his forces. Granola eventually uses the Dragon Balls to have his potential fully unleashed to defeat the Heaters, and then work with the Galactic Patrol to get rid of any of Frieza's remnants. The Gammas prove too much for Gohan and Piccolo without the events of Super to bring them far beyond their limits, being annihilated before Hedor becomes wary enough of Magenta to assassinate him. Ignoring Super, Cell is eventually unleashed, but Gohan and Piccolo's combined power is able to stop him. In GT, Shin becomes aware of Baby once he achieves his perfect form, and has both Gohan and Piccolo be brought to the Kaioshinkai to use the Zetor sword. They eventually both get their potential unleashed, but are still no match for him, until Rodai Kaioshin explains the Potara has Kibitoshin gift this to them, and Gohakalor is able to defeat Baby just in time before the fusion wears off. The universe now safe, as long as the Dragon Balls aren't overused. It's here we see the ironic fate of one seeking the selfish wish, much as other villains who use the Dragon Balls. Most relevant to this scenario, Garlic Jr. and Zamasu, for misusing the power meant as a reward for the worthy. Finally, from Maurice Marvelor Maximilian, what if the minus energy of the Dragon Balls could be harnessed? Essentially, those possessing a Dragon Ball can access the abilities of the evil dragon eventually birthed from it, which increase in strength as the minus energy of the Dragon Balls increases. This makes sense when a completely different set of Dragon Balls essentially produced palette-swapped versions of the usual evil dragons, to imply their designs and abilities are predetermined, and this will obviously lead exclusively into the GT continuity after Z, rather than there being the Super route. As an example of how this works, or when they'd be activated, Bulma would teach Goku when seeing the Sushinshu, as he has to say an alteration of the standard summoning, Ideo Sushinlan, or Come Forth, 4-star dragon, as Goku becomes able to bring forth a veil of heat around him and burn one of the logs he'd previously cut. With that, the adventure starts, but the major events of the arc don't change until encountering Pilaf, due to most possessing the Dragon Ball being unaware of what they are, Bulma having to experiment to see what each one does, and Goku preferring to use his own power in battles against those such as Yamcha. Pilaf's Ishinshu simply possesses greater raw power than the other balls combined, and physically amp him, but not by enough to fight Goku or Yamcha when it's still Pilaf, and events go the same as normal. It's with the Red Ribbon Army arc that things start to diverge. When Blue steals the Dragon Balls at Kame House, he uses the Lu Shinshu and San Shinshu to create a hailstone combo that pushes Goku back as Blue makes a successful retreat. Due to this, Red doesn't order his execution, and Goku has far more pressure in finding the Su Shinshu quickly. He still takes it easily from Yellow, with the level of flames it produces not being enough to beat him, and events with Tao Pai Pai go the same. It's with the battle against Commander Black that Goku has a bit more difficulty, as Lu Shinlong being born from Oolong's wish makes the Lu Shinshu far stronger than the other Dragon Balls, and causes the combination of this and Black's battle jacket to be enough to overwhelm Goku, even when he relies on the Sushinshu and attempts to end things with his missile, this being Goku's chance to escape his view and put an end to an off-guard Black, but with far greater injuries. This is enough, he asks his friends if they could take him to Karinto, as he'll need someone to lift him off Kintoun, Kuririn pushing himself to bring Goku up there. The injuries are enough for Goku's Saiyan power to activate, though the events with Baba still go the same. The fight with Pilaf is far different though, with the Ishinshu providing enough of a boost to the Pilaf machine to challenge Goku, but he lasts long enough for the effects of the ball to wear off. Having proved himself, Kuririn decides he can only catch up and aid Goku if he goes on his own path, and decides to learn from Karin before wandering the world as Goku is, taking a few senzu in case they are needed. Not only does this heal Yamcha's leg, but Kuririn, having pushed himself far further, has him force Goku to use his battle level to defeat Kuririn, and has become strong enough he defeats Tenshinhan outright before he can gamble on the Kikoho. Kuririn is strong enough he can survive against Tambourine, with Goku and Tenshinhan then taking him down together despite Ten's fatigue. The death of one of his children directs Piccolo Daimao's attention towards the Sushinshu, with Piccolo tracking Goku and the others down as they search for the Dragon Balls, just as they meet Yajirobe. Roshi says it's best for them to hide, with Goku saying he'll be fine, only to be beaten as usual, and Kuririn coming out of cover in tears at what seems to be his friend perishing, only for that to be his fate. With Kuririn having dropped the Senzu, Goku is healed once Yajirobe notes his heart beaten, but it's too late for Kuririn, Roshi having to physically restrain Goku with the Bankoku Bikurisho before telling him to seek out Karinto in case there's more he can learn. While Roshi's trio continues their search, Goku goes through drinking the Choshinsui while the Daimao gains his youth, but the difference is Goku getting to Karinto quicker with the Kintoun, and Roshi's search being delayed has Goku confront the Daimao just as he arrives at King Castle. News of this has Tenshinhan and Yamcha rush to King Castle and arrive in time to save Goku from the Bakuriki Maha without the fatigue from facing Drum. Ten avoids becoming a human shield as Goku has an easier time defeating Piccolo Daimao. Events proceed near enough the same until Namek, where the elemental abilities of the Dragon Balls has Kuririn attempt to fight Vegeta using the Ishinshu's power, but it hasn't been used enough to help, with him being forced to hand it over after a single punch from Vegeta. With the limited role the Dragon Balls play outside of a tool from there on, and the Dragon Team preferring to use their own power rather than borrowed abilities, the story goes the same until after the Majin Buu arc, when collecting the Dragon Balls, Goku notes the cracks in the Ishinshu and Lushinshu, and has enough time on his hands, making the wish to have Buu be forgotten by most Earthlings, to go ask Dende about it. Popo tells him what he heard of the evil dragons, and that the use of these abilities have increased the mind's energy, with Rodai Kaioshin seeing it as worth interjecting that this is why they are in the front to nature. Goku then has the idea for Popo to fix the door to the Room of Spirit and Time in order to place the balls in there 100 days for the minus energy to die off. After making the wish to help Buu integrate into society, Dende chooses to deactivate the Dragon Balls, and the events of GT go the same until after the Super 17 arc, where he temporarily reactivates them to restore the damage done when seen it as worth doing against what was far from a natural threat, before permanently putting an end to them. It's here that we see, despite this additional convenience, the ideals of Budo and Goku's desire to fight with his own strength especially would prevent them from being over-relied on and remain the reward for the worthy Kami intended. Thank you for having watched all these What Ifs, and be sure to check out more this channel has to offer. With that, I'll see you later.